So this hip flexor exercise, what it's doing is it's trying to create a stretch that would mimic what our hip flexors are going through while running. So in this instance, we're trying to stretch the right hip flexor, and the position that you're seeing me in is I'm flattening my low back and taking the lordotic curve out of my lumbar spine and tucking my glutes. So as we start to play this, we'll play it at half speed. You see me kind of tuck in my hips, and right where the arrow is pushing, you're going to see well, until I turned around, but you're seeing me try to really extend that hip. So now as I've turned facing you, what you're going to start to see is in the direction of where my hands just went, you see me pushing that right hip forward, keeping my low back kind of quiet, trying to get all that movement out of the hip. What it's doing is driving that extension to the hip that most runners really need, because most of us run not all the time, but it's just a short part of our day, and the rest of the time we are sitting. So the last thing that you just saw is I'm reaching up towards the sky with that left arm to further drive that extension of my hip. So if I'm reaching up and back with my left hand while trying to stretch my right hip, it's extending that stretch through my whole body, through the abs, and you're actually getting a very global movement that is stretching that right hip flexor in a very functional way for running. Because when we run, when that right hip moves, the left arm's usually going back. I would go through this exercise 5 or 6 times, kind of driving that movement with the hand, and then you would switch. And you can also change the angulations, seeing which direction you really feel the stretch the most, and then go through those stretches in that plane.